I can start talking about um, Five Moth while people walk in for a few minutes. But yeah, I think 5 minutes of fame is exactly what it sounds like. Um, each person gives around 5 minutes to talk about whatever cool shit that they've been into. And we'll open the floor to, after a few minutes, we'll open the floor to some questions. Um, yeah, and it looks like we actually have enough uh, to basically fill the hour, um, which is really cool. I'm thinking, I don't know how did y'all do discussions, like, or like questions and stuff? Did you just
Uh,
like have an extra, was it like 3 minutes or 2 minutes?
Traditionally, would you do 5 minutes for the whole presentation and any questions if there's any time at the end. But also, like if we're going to do a break in the middle, we could do a group of talks with quick. Normally, we do Q&A for however long it takes the next presenter to get set up and be ready. But then we could also do like a group Q&A if there's a longer intermission or at the end. It depends on how many topics we want to cover tonight.
Um, so it looks like we had five, including the music presentation. We have five presentations total. Um, and then we'll have some extra time for people to do impromptu, just like if they get if they they want to pretend they get the spirit, feel the spirit, and want to talk about something of their choosing, they can hop in too. Um, just have no yeah, but yeah, the yeah, we can do that. So we can in the intermission, we can have three people present, and then have like a group Q&A, um, and a couple of people present and another Q&A. Sounds good.
Yeah, and if you have questions, just pop them in chat so you don't forget what you wanted to ask while the other two people are speaking. And we'll scroll back through chat when we're done. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, the chat might be a good conduit.
Yeah, I'm going to put questions in chat, but don't stop presenting just to like, oh, hey, he's asking dumb questions. So, yeah.
Yeah. Also, does everyone here consent to being recorded for YouTube? It sounds like, if that's happening.
I am a robot and I give my consent. It's programmed to say that. So.
Good. You have no free will. You must consent.
Can't we just FFmpeg record this?
That's what she said. I mean, it's already streaming on YouTube, so technically it's being recorded. So
Oh, it's already on YouTube right now?
I think X. Did you post it yet? Maybe.
I think he's. Are you there, X?
Yeah, pushing all the buttons at once here.
Push all the buttons.
And yeah, we should be streaming to YouTube,
on YouTube.
Right now.
If you are, can you share where you're streaming it, and then I can share my links to all my Facebook and Instagram and whammies.
Yeah, and I posted it in the Discuss, and I posted it to the Five Moth channel in Discuss. I will give you the direct link in just a moment.
But yeah, as I said, we can we can field questions. Yeah, we can give 5 minutes to each person. If they finish early, they can field some questions. Otherwise, we'll hand it over to the next person. I can record since I can record times, or I can record times for each person, just and then let people know they're running low. Oh, huh. I share my presentation instead of my face. All right.
And anybody presenting, you should be able to do both. Once you start the screen share, press the camera button again, and it'll give you a picture-in-picture.
Ah, cool. Oh, I see. There's little me. Got it. Okay. So it's kind of like a Twitch sort of thing. Cool stuff.
Yeah. And here in the chat is the link to the currently live stream.
All right. Looks like we have a pretty big crowd over here. Yeah, we have a lot of. Yeah, it's awesome. We have a lot of faces today. So yeah, I decided to I'll kick things off. Without further ado. But yeah, so what I guess as some background, I've recently been working on a indoor robot, or like trying to do an indoor robot. Yeah, sure. We can set that up. I'll make a note. But yeah, so I've been working on an indoor, trying to get a robot to do indoor localization, and one of the first things. Whoop. Are we good? Yeah, so I wanted to build a robot to do indoor localization, have it navigate around the room. And one of the things um whoop, yeah, and so I wanted to start doing things on simulation. And so what I did here for this project is to get a robot, be able to track a robot around the room using a particle filter with surf features, which I'll explain a little bit later. And basically, localization, you might ask, like, what is that? What am I referring to with that? Yeah, I decided to keep the Moppet from. Yeah, so earlier we were talking and we had, oh shoot, um, I'm going to keep the time, but yeah, we can talk about that later. But yeah, it's a name that's been around. And localization is, if you see the little robot guy here, um, there's two steps. One, the robot moves forward or backward, and then the second, it looks at the wall and sees what the corridor, like what is the corridor. So like right now, if the robot is a little bit forward, it'll see a wall, but if it's a little backward, it'll see a blank space. Um, And the observation, though, that's less noise, not more noise. The observation. So the observation says, like, if it sees that gap, it knows it's going to be in one of these two regions. Whereas if it's in the wall, it knows it's going to be one of those gray areas, and that helps it center itself. And a lot of localization is based on Bayesian modeling, where you determine the next step. Basically, you use, in order to determine the next step, you can, or the distribution of the state, or like where the robot is, depends on the distribution of it in the previous state. And you can kind of, with Bayesian or Gaussian models, you can kind of get a good, if you develop like a pretty accurate state, and a pretty accurate way of doing motion, or to calculate the motion, you can get a good localization method, but it's kind of complicated to model it. So, and it's really, you kind of don't want to, it's kind of hard to mess with. So you want something simpler. And with that, basically the throwing on the map is called a particle filter, where you have a bunch of dots, you put a bunch of dots in the map called particles. And the particles that are most similar basically are clumped more often. So you see in the top image, there's a lot of particles scattered everywhere, but later on, it actually clusters around where the images look more like the ceiling tile. You might say, like, how do you actually compare these two images? I did this thing called, I basically extracted features called surf features, and then of each subregion, and then matched them between the two images, basically using brute force matching. And then I just came up with this similarity metric to change the data range. Basically, you want it to be larger or closer to 1, the closer they are to each other, and 0 the farther away. Closer to 0 the farther away. And I realize I'm close to over time, so I'll show you this demo here. So as you can see, the particles there's parts sort of cluster around the vehicle. And once it gets through this landmark here, you can see it actually tighten up around the center of the robot. And now it's tracking. So if you see the estimated location, it's actually pretty close to what the actual estimate is toward the end. If you see, like, right here. But yeah, it gets really close. And there's a lot I was thinking of to do, such as expanding the implementation to work on a real robot and actually control it, so you can actually have it navigate from point to point. There's also expanding the code itself to go around further edge cases, and increase performance with surf feature detection. And I'm a little bit over time, but that's my project. Thank you all so much. Yeah, I will, since I went a little bit over time, I'll cede the floor, and we can do any discussion or questions later on. Yeah, thank you for listening. Whoop.
Yay.
So I realize, let's stop this. Where is the meeting? Here we go. Oh, come on. So next would be X, I think. X, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you.
I can hear.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And
yeah.
there's one other hot mic in the background. Okay, that did it. I'm going to load and try to remotely play a YouTube video and then talk through to explain some of that.
Okay. I'm counting you down in 5, 4, or let me know when you're ready, and I'll count you down.
Yeah, I think I'm ready. People should be seeing a YouTube video. And,
Yeah, I see some guys.
Cool. Yeah. Let's just do it.
All right, 3, 2, and 1.
So yeah, hey everybody, is X, and what we're looking at is a recording of footage from a Noisebot, and the recording's being managed. It's also linked up to Noisebridge, so you're also seeing the Cap Street driveway in the bottom right, and another driveway in Oakland on the left. So I am going to skip ahead here a bit. And this is basically an experimental robotics platform made by a company called Ubiquity. And this is a Magni robot. So it's basically 2 scooter motors independently controlled, like tank drive, and then it's got 2 free swiveling trailing wheels. So I'm over sitting there on the left, and all of this is connected over Wi-Fi, and I'm using SSH directly into a ROS interface and basically driving it with my keyboard. So when I hit forward, it goes forward. I can slowly turn to the right. I can spin to the right. I can go backwards. And in a bunch. Say that again. And so now here's now you're seeing a view from the camera strapped to the dummy and the webcam at the same time. So you can kind of see the bot a little bit. And so I've made this
itself
totally modular, so it's stackable milk crates. So the base is on the bottom, and then the robot body is strapped to the top. So it's easy to modify. There's also about an hour of footage of it driving around inside a Noisebridge, if you want to see what the current space looks like. And here I've got a 9-axis and GPS that I'm planning to add to this for better position coordination. So I have no idea how I'm doing on time. So let me pause there and maybe take any questions.
Oh, sorry, you're just under 3 minutes in now.
Okay. So let me then also share my screen. And there's a website for this on the wiki, CL Magni. And so this is the command list. So you can get like the battery level and different things like that. Here it's showing you detail on the battery state. And then go here, you can see what the base chassis actually looks like. So you can see it's got left and right drive wheels. This big PCB in here is the motor controller. This XLR is not auxiliary audio. That's the 24-volt battery charger. This is a Raspberry Pi 3 in the middle. Ultrasonic sensors to presumably detect walls and things, and then a Raspberry Pi camera, which can do basic vision tracking integrated with the system. So so this is kind of like a companion bot. I've taken it to Noisebridge to help out in the space, and hoping to make it fully autonomous, or well, not fully autonomous, but fully unattended operationable. Right now it kind of needs a buddy, but also hoping to hook it up the other way so you all can come hang out and take over the bot and drive it around and hang out. So I see a couple questions in chat. How are you reading the battery level? So yeah, that's one of the ROS topics. So there in the page, I was showing a dump from the SSH. There's a little ROS command line utility. And so you just give it the topic battery level, and it spits out the current state. You can use that to get other sensors and things like that. I'm pretty on the fence about ROS overall for controlling this. It's cool that it's got the simulation and all of that. But I think it would be potentially a lot more productive to just control it directly with some basic scripts and interactions. So in any case, it's an ongoing hack. Do you know what the hardware is? Oh, it's two 12-volt lead acid batteries. Is the battery itself, and so I'm linking my laptop to the Raspberry Pi over a terminal with SSH, and that's how I'm sending and reading control data. The hardware to read the battery is part of the motor control board, has voltage level and current sensing in it. And TJ, I think I'll turn it back to you to queue up the next one. And then we can talk more autonomous cars and robot driving around things in general.
Yeah, hell yeah. It sounds, I definitely want to learn more about the robot and like working with it. It has like a bunch of sensors on it, which is super cool. And yeah, I can already navigate around a space. So it looks like Morgan was, if you containerized, like in a Docker.
Yeah, you had talked about using either Docker or something else to containerize it. So you basically load the container and you have your ROS set up the way you set it up. And then you can have somebody come in and jack it up, and then you can reset the container at the end of the play session.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because ROS is just so
Finicky.
Yeah, I turned it off. But yeah, ROS is finicky, and like because ROS is so hard to install, having it like so you can just download and install something to drive the robot.
Yeah, I'll have to find
I
out
think
if Rex did that.
Yeah, I think
Later.
ROS. We can talk about whether or not ROS is useful. I think it's good for handling a lot of different processors, a lot of different processes. Sorry. And having communication between channels is like a lot easier with ROS. But yeah, we can get that. We can definitely discuss that.
After we present,
during intermission or something like that. Is Morgan
somebody bring popcorn
around right now?
Yeah, who else we got?
So is Morgan and the Moon B3YB. It was Morgan, Zach, and the Moon B3YB stuff. I know Zach wanted to be last. We could do the music presentation.
TJ,
Oh,
just
mine or someone else? Oh, the other one. Yeah, someone else is doing one.
TJ, just
What was that?
timing for Morgan is up in the air, but he's got another conference that
Yeah,
he
until
started
9.
at 6, and he'll be done and coming over here before 9, but before
Okay.
Zach.
Basically,
Zach will be
yeah.
last.
In that case, yeah, we can turn it to anyone who wants to present something.
I have
Have like
something
an open
stupid.
mic. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let me share and show you what I did. I just did this kind of like in the past half hour before this thing started, but it's a funny little. It's a process I've learned to do. If you're ever curious about having to try to get some material, and you have a Linux system and you just want to play it, but you don't want to get any ads and shit, ways to get around that, and you could also choose to get the best quality possible at times as well. So I'll show you that. Let me share. Let's see, which one do I share this time? All right. Okay, yeah. So, first thing, X told me about this web page. Like, seems kind of cool. I can try to get the parent directory has all this stuff, but I wanted to get all the FLAC files because that's pretty high quality stuff. It's kind of interesting. So I found this. What I ended up doing was saving this. I ended up saving the page locally. When I saved the page locally, I'll have to show you what I got from there. I need to stop sharing, then share again. Get the file open. Yes. So here, this is the file of the HTML file of this. If you look through some of these, sometimes they will end exactly in FLAC if you're trying to pull a FLAC file. So let's see, here's one of them right here. So I was able to pull that out, and then I just copied and pasted that things like that into a nano file, into a terminal
Hey,
nano. What's up?
we're not getting any video or screen share from you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for telling me. All right, let me. Oh, it doesn't show. It says that it's showing. Do you see? You can hear me.
I can hear you, but I can't see you either.
Okay.
You may want to
Riley,
refresh.
have you
I've had to do
modified
that.
your video quality?
Oh, we can do that.
I'm sure it's high quality. Nothing but the best.
Okay.
That's what
Well,
I said.
if I lower video quality, thank you for telling me though. It shows up on my end, but let's see. That's kind of weird. Good. Is there like a way? Let's see. How do I edit video quality?
So if you go down to the bottom right-hand side where the three little dots
Oh,
are,
there it is.
and click on that.
Standard definition.
Video
Let's see if
quality.
that works.
Standard. I would go low definition or something.
All right. Do you see anything? Yeah. Then allow.
Yeah. Relay, you need the quality settings turned all the way up if we're going to see anything. And if it's still not working, you might just need to refresh your page.
Okay. I'll try that. Sorry about that. Thank
It's
you.
okay. I've had to do
I'll
it
just
twice
refresh
already,
the page.
so don't worry.
All right, I'm back. Let's see if this works. How about now?
I can see stuff.
Yep.
Cool.
Got you.
Sweet. All right.
We can
So
see
this
now.
is an HTML file, which if it's a nice page that only has some basic CSS, you could just use this. So inside the file here, you could sort of see stuff that's supported by Google. I don't know all the details, but I heard people hate AMP. Here is the AMP version of the file, I believe. I don't know. A lot of these things, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff with weird AMP stuff in it. But if you want to find, let's see, where was the other one? So I ended up finding one here that just ends in .flac. And then I just copied and pasted all of these into a nano file. So found a bunch of these, copy, 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 all the ones that end in .flac right here. All nice. So, all right. Let me go back, and then I'll show you what I'm doing on my other page. All right, so let me share this. No. Okay, can you see what I'm doing on here? Hello?
Yes, we can
All
see
right, cool.
what you're
Cool.
doing on here.
So what I did here is I made some files. So I copied it into DL DEFCON. So if I do nano DL DEFCON, here's where I create the little file. I just pasted them all in here. So that way, if you end up executing this, it will start downloading every single file on here as a FLAC file, all in one go. I don't know if I have the disk space for it. I haven't looked at the size, so I'm probably a little bit hesitant to do this. But I did find another way to do this instead. Wait. The other way you could do this is, see, if I do, all right, I made this where it just tries to set MPV to play every single file, one after the other. This will try to play every single, what's up?
Your screen might have froze. I don't know if anybody else is. I'm still just stuck at the initial command line.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll refresh that.
Yay for technology.
Turn it off and on again.
All right. So yeah, here's the bin bash file for MPV. There's an interesting feature that if you have YouTube-DL, FFmpeg, and MPV all installed, and you have a direct link to a FLAC or MP3, M4A, or any other file compatible with FFmpeg, you'll just be able to play it as is. So, all right. Although, unfortunately, these are FLAC files, so I just kind of realized how terrible that is because it's really high quality. But let's see what happens on this Jitsi server. All right. Can you see what I'm doing still?
I see you got a fresh command line.
Cool.
Yeah, I see
All right.
something trying
Yeah.
to run.
All right. So the thing that I also did was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Linux, but it's a cool little thing to do, is see if you want to ever make a file executable, you need to do chmod, and then I did play, and then DL. So, and then, oh yeah, I need to do +X, and that will make both of these executable. They're already marked as executable right now, though, but I could do it again. And if you go to LL, you'll see that they're all that play DEF CON are both, and download DEF CON are both executable files here. So if I go to, so from here, I could go to, what was it? Oh yeah. So let's say /, I'd go to play, and it will start trying to play the FLAC file. It'll take some time to load, and it'll probably just be buggy as hell. Well, we'll see how good that is. But yeah, it's kind of a... So
And Relay, question for you. You took amazingly high quality, uncompressed FLAC music files and then ran them through some FFmpeg crap jungler to spit them out and re-encode on the fly to play them back.
yes, that's exactly what I'm doing.
I salute you.
I did. It's not really that impressive of me. I just know that it works. So, and I've been using this for all sorts of stuff, and I've just been playing around with it. So I created a simple shell script that could just play. That could sort of just play videos or files on the go, as long as it has YouTube-DL access or a direct play link. Or it's like if it's a file itself. If it like ends in M4A, MP3 or whatnot. So yeah, that's what I can do. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh well.
Oh, so do you the for playing, they said you use FFmpeg to play it or to download it or to save it to something?
So the way it works is that MPV just does it directly. So MPV already has like extension in it with YouTube-DL and FFmpeg. I know that it's a dependency. I mean, I don't know exactly how it, because it needs like to pull. I think it uses, and YouTube-DL I think uses wget and FFmpeg together. So like wget the file and then pulls it in, and MPV is a nice video player. There are other like, oh yeah, there are some other. I don't know all the details of that though. It's just I've looked at the dependencies. That's all. All I did is just MPV and then the file link. Yes, X?
Yeah, more important question is what is that wackadoodle GUI filtered console madness hacker desktop command line screen thing you got going there?
Oh, that. It's made by Swordfish on GitHub. I found it. It's pretty cool. It's a terminal emulator. It's called Cool Retro Terminal. You could customize it to look all kinds of ways. I just thought this one's the way I like it. You can make it look like an amber screen with with more distortion stuff on it. So I don't know. I just thought this was fun. So the way I do it, I could change the colors on it if I needed to, but I like it the way it is.
Okay.
Very, very cool, man. Don't forget to turn your screen share off.
Okay, shall do.
Yeah. Is that it for everybody else? Does anyone else have any questions before we go to our intermission?
Yeah.
How many people do we have remaining?
So right now we have Rayan, Zach, Morgan, in the queue, and then we have the music presentation. I was actually thinking, X, that we could, if it's just a YouTube video, maybe we could just have that as part of the intermission.
Yeah. And I don't
Like-
know. I mean, there's sound to it, but it's just it's a remix of a mix. So I can play it for a bit with sound, and then either turn it way down, or we can just mute it and watch random visuals of Noisebridge in the background.
For intermission,
Okay.
I have a visual to share, like 30 seconds worth.
Okay.
If you want to do it now, I'll cue up the video.
Yeah, I'll do it now. It's only 30 seconds, and I don't have much time on this. On this
Yeah,
one.
sure. Let's do it.
Okay. Hope you guys are ready for cuteness. So cute. So this is what I'm hoping for at my parents' house. Yeah, this one's on my desk. So
Oh,
9 months, German Shepherd mix, extra cutes.
look at that little guy.
Your dog is so cute.
Thank you. Oh, you're starting to
Oh, he's still floppy.
He's so excited.
Yeah.
Oh, puppies.
He's my favorite one too. We got 3 of them, so we're just fostering right now. All right, back in the pen.
Thank you very much for
All right.
presenting.
Yeah, so I can cue up the video here and press play. So let me see. I'm guessing. Are you guys seeing some playback now?
We're seeing like, oh, I just saw like an Inception little, like screens within
Yeah.
screens. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a replay of a live recording of setting up a live stream. And let me see if I can get audio and talk here. Okay, it looks like I get either, I don't know, did you guys get a quick clip of sound?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got a little.
Okay.
Okay.
So, anyways, there's another portion that has sound. But, anyways, what you're seeing is this was all remotely produced from inside of Noisebridge without anybody inside Noisebridge. And there's some background ambience that those cars driving by are in the sound mix as well. So we just have some Noisebridge ambience, and then kind of like what Relay was doing, downloading uncompressed files and then transcoding them with FFmpeg. This is kind of doing the same thing. The music is actually playing upstairs over the PA, and then the webcam microphone is picking it up, and that's what was streamed out. So it has Noisebridge noise built into it, along with noise of restream lame quality. And then here in the video, I'm playing back a live video recording of a live video of the Flaschentoschen playing on YouTube. So there's repeated inceptions in here, but also there's an hour of this. So it is a janky ass DEF CON Safe Mode 28 official soundtrack remix while hacking the crap out of all the remote terminals in Noisebridge. So this is the upstairs computer. Now we can jump down. This is Devil downstairs watching the Flaschentoschen. Now we're back upstairs doing visualization. Oh, I'm going to go to audio for a minute.
You have selected Microsoft Edge.
Wait, where's this audio coming from?
So you should have heard 1,000, 2,000. This is blah, 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 blah. So during this music mix playback, this is jacking the text to speech engine on a Windows box and having it talk over the PA at the same time. So the voices that you're hearing are speech engine synthesis.
I actually don't hear anything. But
Okay, well, I'll drop the link in the chat here, and you can pull that up.
That one.
You can hear the audio and scrub through it. But anyways, this is basically a music video audio remix of a tour of the inside of the machines inside of Noisebridge. This is the back end of the YouTube live stream in Jitsi for the Floschentoschen, which I remote manage over VNC server session. You can see all the IP numbers on the left flying by. This thing is a honeypot tracking actual hacker script. There are hacker scripts trying to hack into Noisebridge as we speak. And I have a whole list of IP addresses trying to do it if anybody wants to go meet some other hackers. This is
I'm ready now, by the way, to present if you want me to go after intermission.
Somebody's ready to go. Oh yeah, I'm giving a whole nother presentation here, and this is just intermission. We're hanging out and talking, so I'm going to shut up for a minute and let this just play in the background. You can ask questions.
Cool. All right, I'm just watching this on MPV right now. Oh,
So you've
sorry
got
about
remote
that.
cameras inside Noisebridge. Okay.
All right, so 3 more minutes of intermission, and I guess TJ, we were supposed to be answering questions about our talks. If
Yeah, does anyone have any? Yeah, it's true. We can open up to questions real quick. Yeah, we'll have. So I guess we finished that. So now, I realized Robot also wanted to present. So that would be, I know Rayan or Zach. Do either of you have a preference to who would start immediately?
No preference here. I can go whenever. I do want to figure out, test my screen sharing, make sure that all works.
What about you, Rayan?
I don't have a preference either. So, I mean, I'm ready generally right now.
Yeah, let's do
TJ, do
you,
you want-
Rayan. I think we said put Zach toward the end. So yeah, we can have you go up, Rayan, and then Zach. That
All right.
works.
I'm just gonna test my screen. Just want to make sure that
For sure.
it's working. Okay.
Let's get the timer set up.
Cool. All right. So, yeah.
All right. Looks good. And you can start whenever you're ready.
All right. So, hi everyone. My name is Rayan. And today I just want to talk about complex systems, simulations, and the software called NetLogo. And I'm just gonna go briefly and just talk about some basics, and then I'm gonna show you some simulations that I've built and some cool phenomena that is known as phase transitions and how they kind of influence our lives, and also like how it's practical. And even during like the pandemic, a lot of the models that are built depend on phase transitions, and it's important to know what phase transitions are. We see those in physical systems, but it will also be relevant when we're trying to disperse vaccines. So like just to give like a bit of background for those who have not been who don't know about systems thinking or just generally systems, it hits much closer to home than one thinks. So simple
Hey,
systems
Ray?
like, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think people are losing your screen share. I think that's still I see the image. It's just the double ellipses,
Okay.
right?
Do you still see it?
Is
I
that
see
intro
the
image-
intro image.
Are you still on the
Yeah.
first page?
Yeah, I was on the first page. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
but
He's
it's not
only
a
got
video, right?
158 to go.
So yeah, so let's start with like simple
Okay.
systems. You take any two bodies that kind of interact with each other, and this is something we describe as simple system. Generally, when we look at systems, there are 5 different kind of characteristics we see all around us. First one is like self-organization. This is a flock of birds, and as you can see, like birds individually move, but when they're in like a big flock, they have like these group dynamics that are happening, which produces these patterns and these shapes. And whenever you see like
Sorry,
patterns
I
emerge,
don't see any video at all on my end that's being shared. I just see an R in the screen.
Yeah, me too. Just an R.
Oh, I just see 2 circles or spirals or something.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think he's sharing a. Correct me if I'm wrong, you're sharing a PowerPoint presentation. So that's
Yeah.
just the cover slide.
so no
I
one
can
can
see it. If you all right, go to the mode. There's like several different views. Don't go to the list view. You should see like there's a view where it's like it's a list instead of like an array, and then select Ryan, and then you should be able to see the image.
Wait, where is this mode?
So you see like there's the different modes where it says like toggle file view.
Yeah.
It looks like a
Yeah.
So there's the array.
Yeah,
and then
underneath
there's like a
Ryan's
list.
image, it says
Yeah.
participant has stopped the camera.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
So that's
select
you, Ryan.
Ryan. If you select Ryan, you can see it. I still see it's just an R symbol for Ryan, but I do see is the contents of his screen. Maybe is that?
I don't see.
Well, I am in full screen.
I
though.
see
Maybe
2 spirals.
Yeah, I
Yellow
see 2 spirals.
This introduction
Yeah.
to
it
complex.
hasn't. I guess
That's what's there, right?
there's some problem. I'm just
Oh,
gonna share the screen again if it's not working. Um,
4 week 1-2-1, 4 week 1-2-1 guided course.
okay. Can people see it now?
Unfortunately, I'm using
I
Firefox and nothing shows up for me, but I don't want to hold up the presentation.
Are you
I
moving
wish
your
I could see
mouse?
it.
I can't tell if it's
Ryan,
frozen
tell
or
us what
not.
we should be seeing. Tell us what should we be seeing?
Oh, okay. I have an idea. How about let me figure out what's wrong and we rejoin the conversation and maybe DJ can start. How about that?
Can you share a link to
Okay.
anything? Well, yeah. We'll go.
Yeah.
ahead.
I'll try
Yeah,
first.
we can. I don't know if you can share multiple. Yeah, maybe we could. I'm not sure if Zach can queue up while he can figure something out. Maybe you can figure something out in the chat. And Zach can see if Zach can queue up his thing.
Sure, I can put on the screen share, but nothing works for me as far as seeing the presentation right now. I did see the ones earlier with
It's
the
not sharing
video.
now, but I guess he's
Oh,
stopped.
okay. Yeah, I can queue up. Can I? I don't want to stop the current presentation though, but I can queue up if someone can give me a confirmation that they can see my desktop. That would be good.
What does it look like? I'm looking at a bunch of text.
Yeah, I haven't queued up yet.
Well-
Give me a sec.
Sharing it?
It should now. It says you are sharing your screen.
Yep, I see it.
Yes, I see it.
And what does it look like?
Looks like
Cool.
a screen.
Is it a white
right
screen
there
with
for me.
a purple thing on it in the middle of it?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Cool. So my
Alright.
screen share is
Um,
working. All right.
Cool. We can start with you then, and then we can switch off to Ryan.
Oh, okay. You want me to start my presentation now?
Yeah. So like what I was thinking was we can, since I guess both y'all were ready, we can maybe Ryan can like. I think there were some technical problems with Ryan's presentation or Ryan's presentation. So we can move on to you and then go back to Rayan.
Okay, sounds good. Cool. Well, hello, fellow nerds. I am here to talk about some nightlight hacking that I've been doing. I've been reverse engineering one of these. You've probably seen them around, maybe. They are fun little projection night lights that project music play music as well. And they're about $25 online. This happens to be the Heofi brand. But there's a bunch of cool stuff like this coming out of China. Shame on the people that are spreading anti-China stuff around the world right now, because China's always doing cool stuff. And this is proof is in the pudding. This is some really cool stuff they're developing. So I got one of these to go with relaxing in my room and looking at my ceiling during quarantine at pretty lights. It may or may not go well with vinyl records and weed, and is very, very cool. What's the big problem though? Well, if we go here, we have these touch controls. Dun, dun, dun. I have a love-hate relationship with touch controls. They can be really cool or really crappy depending on how they're programmed and how they're kind of made. What's particularly bad about these is they're on a concave surface, which makes them really hard to press. Also, your next and previous track is the same as volume up and volume down. And actually, if you hold the thing for like 100 milliseconds, it will start like raising your volume when you really just wanted to skip a track. And it's basically totally broken. It like doesn't really work. And I really love this nightlight, but I wanted to fix that issue. So what I wanted to do was just have buttons. What a concept. Just buttons that you press, that click. Woohoo. But how do I do that? Well, I have to find a way to somehow intercept the communication that's happening here with this touch sensor and input my own with like an Arduino. So first I opened the thing up and I looked at what was inside, and there's two boards actually. There's one which is for the infrared sensor and the communicator, and then one that's the touch sensor decoder, and one that is the main motherboard, which is what you're looking at now. The main motherboard is powered through primarily there's this Bluetooth Wi-Fi SD card decoder. There's also a amplifier, headphone jack. There's an EEPROM that stores some settings and a USB jack. And I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't have that much time. But there's some interesting stuff. And there's a speaker and there's a motor. But what I want to bring attention to is this part over here, if y'all can see my cursor, where it says 3.3 volts, GND, IO, and IR. Well, that goes to the touch sensor board, which is basically, as I figured it out, it's pretty straightforward. You got power, you got ground, you got input, output, you got the IO, and then you got IR, which took me a second, but oh yeah, that's infrared receiver. However, this didn't actually come with the remotes. The infrared receiver is not actually used, so I can kind of ignore that. So I went here, I plugged everything up, and wanted to take some measurements. First thing I noticed, by the way, though, is the touch sensor controller chip it's sanded off. There's no part number there. They sanded it off to protect their design, which can be annoying, but I also understand the importance of that. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to figure out what this thing is doing, but with no knowledge of what it is. So I came up with a brute force method of developing a clicky button with a touch sensor. And so the first thing to do is there's only one line. It's basically UART, which means it's a single wire protocol that communicates, and it's just going to be pulses, right? That's all communication really is with these things. So I went ahead and hooked up my oscilloscope probe right here to that one wire, and then a wire to ground. Now you'll see there's some rainbow wires here. I just replaced some of the crappy wiring, so it was annoying me. It wasn't color coded. That's all that is. But yeah, I just hooked up to my oscilloscope, one wire to ground, and this is what came up. Cool, we got some pulses. This is what communicates to the main microcontroller when you press the touch sensor button. And for the purposes of this presentation, I'm only talking about the power button, which also cycles LED colors. So we see here that we have a very large low pulse and a very large high pulse, and then a bunch of like shorter ones and like kind of medium length ones in between, and then another low and another high, for a longer period. So this kind of, using kind of common sense deduction, this made me think, well, these big large ones are probably when it senses like to power up, and the stuff in the middle is probably how it senses like to switch and change colors and stuff. So originally I just tried with the large pulses, but that didn't work. So I realized, you know what, I have to mimic this whole thing. Well, I, at this point, was very much a newbie with programming. And so you'll never see anything more technically amazing and fantastic than this. I did this programming design logic here to figure out how the logic works. And with extreme laziness and a notepad, I wrote this out and literally just eyeballed using my oscilloscope the milliseconds of pulses that it looked like. And it looked like about 10 low, 10 high, and then like maybe a 5-2, 5-2, 5-2, and then a 10 low and a 10 high. And those are all just milliseconds. That's all it is. It's just timing of pulses. It's the length. So you can be a total idiot like me and not know anything about coding, and you can do this. And it's really cool. So knowing this, I wrote the most idiot code you've probably ever seen, which is just make the pulse low for 5 seconds, then make it high for 2 seconds, then make it low for 5 seconds, then make it high for 5 seconds. And it just does that and delays the entire CPU going through that cycle to mimic what it naturally does in its unhacked state. And so I put that Arduino here. We've got my little button to turn it on, and we've got it rigged up to the touch sensor, or the touch sensor microcontroller. And so basically I'm using this board, this Arduino replaces the touch sensor board. It basically thinks this is the touch sensor board because I'm going to send it code that mimics that board. And so you'll see here, actually I jumped ahead a bit. Whoops. Well, actually, no, I didn't. So yeah, you'll see here, I've got it working where I'm actually measuring both on my oscilloscope over here. I'm measuring both the pulse that's from it natively unhacked, as well as the pulse that I'm now injecting into the system. And here it is all lined up perfectly. You can see, even with my eyeball approximation, it's close enough for the microcontroller not to discern what's really going on. So it thinks that my clicky button is now a touch button. And since doing this, I have actually recreated that logic for the audio controls as well, and it works perfectly. So that is my presentation, not at all made with MS Paint on hacking touch sensors and nightlights. Thank you.
Awesome. I think, yeah, that's super neat. Yeah, I think we can, in the interest of time, we can have questions. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty trippy. But yeah, we can. I think we can. This merits a lot of discussion. We think we can save it for after a couple presentations. Rayan,
Yes, let's try now and see if it's working or not. So I'm gonna share my entire screen. And can everyone see the screen?
I do.
Yay!
And can everyone see the new screen? The
I
next
do.
slide.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
All right, cool. So
all right.
it's gonna start. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Dan,
just go ahead.
I noticed that Dan mentioned about Lawrence the Tractor. Yes, that image is the Lawrence the Tractor. It's based off a complex algorithm that shows this kind of pattern based on small
Can you keep
changes.
close to the microphone? It's going in and out. The sound is going in and out.
Okay. So I'm
Thanks.
going to talk about complex and simple systems and then show simulation software that can actually create these systems through agent-based modeling. And to get there, I want to talk about just quickly about what systems are. Simple systems and systems in general show 5 different behaviors that we see all around us in our life. Self-organization is very common. You can see it in flocks of birds as they self-organize. Each one of them aren't that intelligent, but collectively they create these intricate patterns that just look amazing. And that's a characteristic of a system. Another characteristic of a system is that it could be chaotic based on small changes. This is a series of pendulum, but it's a single pendulum. And if we ever make a double pendulum where it's hinged at 2 points, you see that very quickly a pendulum becomes like extremely chaotic. And this animation that you see here, it starts off as like a simple pendulum, but just based off minor variations, there's no pattern here. So systems can sometimes be chaotic and sometimes they can be extremely smooth. Systems can also be adaptive. This is an example of bacteria that's evolving in penicillin culture. Each single point that you see here is bacteria adjusting to increase penicillin concentration, and they basically gain immunity. So another characteristic of systems is that, especially complex systems, is that they kind of adapt and they learn and they evolve. Systems also show fat-tailed behavior, which is that even though you might have a quantity that is less than the other, less doesn't mean less in all parameters. Sometimes lesser values have greater weightage, and something we do see in fat-tailed events, such as greater events that are extremely catastrophic. They don't happen as much, but when they do, they cause a lot of damage. And finally, I think emergence is one of the most, I would say, elusive feature of systems, and it's something that's extremely important nowadays. And to understand emergence, it's more like the sum of different parts is more than the individual. Like the whole is more than the individual parts. And you can see this when you have particles spaced apart, they seem like they're going up and down, but you put them together and then you see, oh, it's a wave. So we see emergence in shapes like in the snowflakes when they're formed, extremely intricate patterns that we see is absolutely amazing. Same thing that you see in magnetism. Magnetism is an emergent property based on individual dipoles or monopoles inside small atoms. So those are simple systems and those characteristics. When we go to complex systems, well, you see much more different and rich features, and you see recurrent patterns. So these 3 images you see here, one is like the branching of a tree. This is a slime mold on the bottom left. And then you have the veins in our skin, the vascular system. And all of these show similar patterns. And you see this because there's a complex interaction happening between the simple parts of it. And all of these are optimizing to get as much reach like sunlight and transporting oxygen, or just covering getting nutrients for slime mold. So you see recurrent patterns like rainforests are good examples of it. The stock market is a complex system. Multicellular organisms and intelligent organisms like us are complex systems. And even the internet as a whole and collectively like is a living entity. So there are two types of complex systems. Most people in their entire lives will study complex physical systems, and but there are actually two types, and the new field is like complex adaptive systems. Complex physical systems, I mean, we have it at Noisebridge. The visualization, we see fractals that appear. Plants have complex physical systems, and even like when you look at scaling between like from a rat to an elephant, the way they grow in size according to the food they eat, it shows like there's like a deterministic way on predicting how much energy they'll use. So it's like very deterministic, but they're sensitive to small changes. And like I said, magnetism, this is called the Ising model. Magnetism also is a complex physical system. Now, complex adaptive systems, on the other hand, are based on like a higher level or a higher concept, and this revolves basically on scale. Like the bigger scale you go and you're looking at systems, they stop it becomes extremely difficult to predict because the rules on which they're based evolve. So even the molecules, they tend to like always follow the same universal laws. As things become bigger, for example, this is the DNA, and the DNA creates cells, and the cells creates like organs, and then you have a human, and then you get societies, and then you get like empires and civilizations. They become less and less predictable, and you kind of cross over to like adaptive systems. And nature has that a lot. Like when you look at ecology and you see like diversity in like life, life is 100% a complex adaptive systems because the rules of society keep changing. Like whereas in physical systems, the rules never change. Like they're all built on the same principles. Now, I want to talk about emergence and simulation because it's very important. Emergence happens at different scales. To understand emergence, you have to look at different scales. So, like, you can talk about a pile of sand and you can talk about like water. And when you talk about emergence, you look at properties that emerge only when you go to a larger scale. So, for a pile of sand, if you have a pile of sand, like when does one particle of sand becomes a pile of sand? And the easiest way to determine when you see emergent features is like this phenomenon. This phenomenon here, where a pile suddenly collapses, is completely unpredictable, but there's a narrow range in which you can predict it will happen. And these things are known as phase transitions. Same goes with water molecules. Droplets will when what is the how when do you call something as wet? Now, wetness is a property that only occurs at a certain range of like water molecules collecting together, and that's also like a phase transition. So the whole science has always been about simplifying and trying to like create reductive or using deduction for science. With complex systems, this map over here is like all the chemical metabolic pathways in a human body. And complex systems are not like you cannot just simplify it. You have to like dive into complexity, and this is where agent-based modeling basically comes in. Now, agent-based modeling is a new way of science. The old ways of science have been like deduction and induction, which is have a theory, confirm it, or have an observation and build the theory. But the third way of science is like agent-based modeling, which is generative or simulation, where basically you make the theory and you create the observations and you try to match the two. This is historically haven't been possible because we didn't have the computational to like kind of do it.
Yeah, so there's a minute left.
Okay. So I want to show you
What?
some agent-based models.
Sorry, what's going on? Am I missing something? I guess so.
Okay. So I just want to show some agent-based models right here. This is basically a model of how fire propagates through rainforests or forests. So in California, forest is a big problem, and we use phase transitions or to understand this. So over here, I have a slider. I've programmed this model. So I have like a density of the forest is like 72%. Green is forest, and black is like empty spots. And the fire is going to start on the left side, and we're going to see if the fire propagates all the way and burns all the trees. So at 72% density of like the forest, if I try to run the simulation, you will see like the entire forest like kind of burns down. And the density, the probability of fire engulfing a forest depends on the density of forest. So if I reduce the density to like 40% and I try to run the simulation, the fire doesn't really like go anywhere. Like it just stops there. So if I move the density to like 51%, you'll see it making some progress. And then if I go like 58%, you will start seeing this pattern where it's kind of trying to reach there, but it's not. And interestingly, forests have a phase transition. There's like a small narrow range where if you just deviate like a few percentage up or down, it's the difference between the whole forest catching fire or not catching fire. So like here's a clear example, like 61% density for this model. If I try to start the fire, it's gonna spread. But the moment I go like at, for example, 60%, even here it's gonna travel till the end. But the moment you go at like 59% and 58%, you will start seeing like more batches, and then I think at 58 it's gonna definitively just stop. So what you witnessed here between 58% and 59% density is like a sharp phase transition, and you basically you see this like all around. Like there's another model. This is percolation. This is how, for example, water passes through different parts of like soil, and this depends on porosity. And if I change like the porosity of it, it determines like how fast water will kind of move through and not. And this also depends on like a narrow range of like phase transition. And finally, I want to show like I think I saw in like X's presentation in the last that they were showing like noise bridges um, visualization, and I saw the cellular automata there. So this is cellular automata I made, and cellular automatas are also like complex systems, and the rules determine like phase transitions. So it's very interesting to really understand complex systems, and in terms of like vaccines and like flu and all that, it's very important to like understand phase transitions and how we disseminate like all that. So all of this programming is done on NetLogo. It's a software. It has a very simple like programming language, and it's built to basically simulate complex systems. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, really. There's so much. There's so much to unpack there. I both you and Zach, I'd really love to get back. So I know Morgan wanted to present. Is Morgan here? No. Does anyone know the whereabouts of Morgan? If not, we can. I know Robot wanted to present. We can have him present, and then we can open up the floor to questions. Yes, Evil Dan. Ah, I see. Sorry, he's looking okay. In the meantime, the robot you can present, and then we can open up.
I don't know nothing about no Morgan. Oh, I just got these tangerines. But yeah, he may have gotten otherwise distracted. But he's got some stuff. Maybe next time.
All good, all good.
Maybe tonight. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
robot,
can bring his group over here, you know? It's all good.
Are you set up, robot?
I think so. Camera. We got voice.
Okay, cool.
Ready to roll?
Yeah, I'll give you the floor for a few minutes.
Cool. I'm standing on one, so I'm happy. I'll make sure I have enough. Give myself enough camera to hang myself here. I'm Robert, robot. Call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner. Making some stuff. Doing DoorDash delivery down here in San Jose because I'm helping family with puppies. So I can't do a lot of hardware hacking, but what I can do is this right here. So what I'm doing, I've got a backpack on with a battery and running cabling, adding sensors and some buttons. And my goal for this project, you can hear the jingling. Yeah, I've taped some hard drive platters to the back of my backpack so people know I'm coming. It's kind of annoying, but it works. So the goal of this project is to take camera data and sensor data and combine them and upload them to a server so I can then run whatever I feel like running on it later. But the trick is to capture localization data, so infrared, ultrasonic, temperature, GPS, and then attach it to each frame of the pies capturing an image, which is going to be video, but yeah, it should be interesting. The intention is to put it up on inside of a database, and we'll see what happens. I'm not sure what I'm looking for, but I'm looking for something. I'm looking for some data. The big talking head, right? Lol. So what I'm looking for is, as a delivery person doing deliveries, I want to look at the average time for drop-offs and pickups, as well as how long it takes me to find from the drop-off location where Google drops me off and says, okay, here's the street address, how long it takes me to get to wherever I'm going. So how long am I waiting for the door? How long am I waiting for, to find the apartment complex map, which they don't ever list. And I really want to figure out how to automatically pull up the apartment complex map and send it to another DoorDasher or Postmates phone. No, they don't do this. They don't do this. And you could try to go look it up on your phone, but the problem is a lot of the apartment complexes do not put this up on their website. Yeah, exactly. So I want to be able to basically go around, take pictures of the complexes, and then post them into the system. And that's just one kind of explanation, but the other side of this project is long-term. I want to be able to create a delivery robot that picks up food and takes it over there. I'm going to be taking out a step though. So most of the time, yeah, I know, tell me about it. So most of the time is spent either waiting for the food or trying to find the damn apartment. Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, you can do it with anything. You can do food. I've delivered a lot of stuff. Like condoms in the middle of the night in San Francisco. Fuck yeah, that happens. But like to be able to figure out how to take those two ends, automate those, and then do the middle manually. So basically, I go and pick up a robot that has some stuff inside of it. I drive it to where it needs to be. I drop off the robot, and the robot does its thing. I don't have to sit around and wait for, the person to get on their jammies and answer the door on the third floor. And yeah. Be discreet. Yes, I will be discreet with your box. Anyway, I'm probably over time, but yeah, that's what I'm working on.
I'd say, yeah, you're actually right on time.
Cool.
I guess we can open the floor to questions. I guess now that 3 people have presented, and I do not see Morgan in the list, we can open up to discussion, group discussion about Zach's, Rayon's, and robots presentations.
Yeah, they are. They're the same.
So, what's the sound? What do you need the sound for? Is this May I didn't understand it fully. Sorry.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, robot? Or maybe I
Okay,
missed it. Yeah, I missed
we have 3 presenters, so just making sure. So this is an ultrasonic sensor. So it sends out a ping and then gets a distance. But I'm also going to be using infrared as well, because once it starts raining, I want to see which one actually does better in the rain.
Oh, got it. You're just
Robert.
okay.
A robot.
Yep.
It's been a long time, but I did some testing with those ultrasonic sensors.
Yeah.
And they're pretty cool. I found that they could be a little bit inaccurate. I'd be interested in knowing what your test results show, but I also kind of did a deep dive on different sensors back in the day with different kind of infrared stuff. There's some huge range of proximity sensors out there that perform very differently. And then, of course, there's the LiDAR, which is the newer technology that people are a big fan of and is getting more affordable. Yeah. You might want to talk to Nick about this if he's still around at Noisebridge. He was really into it and actually found sensors that use microwaves for spatial detection as well. Some pretty cool stuff out there. And if you want to trade notes, let me know, because I want to work on something similar for helping control wheelchairs, electric wheelchairs.
Oh, shit. I was actually going to go steal somebody's wheelchair and hack it. But
I have to piss you off a little bit more first.
I was gonna get on eBay and buy one for a few $100, but if you have an extra one you want to sell me, I eventually might do it. The only problem is stairs. So hashtag but fuck,
for your
stairs
robot?
are horrible, man. Like, yeah.
There's ways to do it with robots, though. There are some methods they've developed.
Right, and so this is why I want to capture all the data first, and basically get an average of kind of the delivery, and figure out, okay, so should I just account for 20% of my, sales going to apartments, and I'm going to need to have somebody actually do it versus have the robot do it? Or can we actually figure out beforehand, before I even pick up the delivery, if it's supposed to be an apartment and what floor they're on? Like, that would be amazing.
Well, maybe if I can ask an obvious question, if the point of this is to have a robot that can do all the waiting for someone to put on their jammies or whatever, couldn't it do the waiting for someone to come downstairs?
But if that somebody is like you, unfortunately, I do have people that that either can't leave the house or are physically not able to leave the house. And I've seen them come to the door and they're like, "Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate this." Like, they need us as far as delivery people. And even just stairs, like 2 or 3, like 3 or 4 steps up the walkway, can be a big deal. And it's a completely different design function. And so I need to find out if the problem even exists in the first place. And then whether or not, okay, so there's the robot and physical and getting all like techie, nerdy shit, but there's the other real problem of what do we do with everybody that's actually doing delivery? And so one of my questions is, can I help the people that are doing delivery more than what's being done now?
Gotcha.
And then I'll go for the robot later, because then I'll integrate education into my company and say, hey, if you want to work for us, you're going to get educated in code, at least code, so you can actually go out there and, deliver and fix the robot. So you have one person doing, 5 jobs at the same time without being stressed about it.
Any other questions from folks for other projects or this project?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to know about your project, Zach. What's causing the ripples on the thing? Like, what's making the design?
Well, I'll be down. I'll be down to answer that. Maybe we should hear from someone else first because I heard somebody speak up just a second ago.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, Ryan. Yeah, sorry. You mentioned using the, what was it? Port logo? Port logo?
Net logo.
Net logo.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked with Arena?
I've heard of Arena, but with NetLogo because I dived into agent-based modeling through Santa Fe Institute, and this guy named Yuri Wilkinson, his like apprentice, he has like this course on agent-based modeling. So I kind of like learned everything from that guy, and that's why I use NetLogo. But yeah, there's so many great agent-based modeling softwares out there. Have you used Arena?
I used so I did a analytics modeling class, and I used SimPy for the simulation component. Yeah, I've heard of Arena as like an easy use. I haven't heard of NetLogo, but yeah, it looked pretty straightforward, and it looked like those are some pretty cool designs. Or it's not designs, simulations.
So just a bit of like history. NetLogo comes from the Logo language, which was created by. I mean, I'm sure everyone has heard of like Lego Mindstorms, right? Lego has this like brand of robot. So Mindstorm was basically the creator of that. Is the guy who created Logo language, and Lego kind of like took that book called Mindstorm, which was written in I think like 50s. The guy kind of built these analog robots that would detect, I think, sound, and the robots were called turtles. Yeah, that's the logo's like old school turtle. That's exactly what it is. And the turtle was an actual like physical robot. And later on, like when it kind of took off, the logo and turtle is like an homage to Mindstorms, and NetLogo is like the next version. It's not a next version. It's like another dialect of Logo, and I think the difference between Logo and NetLogo is like just functionality, just how simple it is. It's very easy to like make a program in NetLogo. It's very close to like writing sentences, and the great part about NetLogo is it's still like there's still production. There's still like support for it, and they've created like 3D NetLogo now. It also connects to like you can actually export code in other programming languages, and you can create like I can create a server on NetLogo and have everybody in this group like be a part of like we can play a game that is kind of a simulation all together. It's like NetLogo is more like front facing, rapid prototyping kind of language. So that's a bit of history behind it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty easy to learn as well.
Yeah, awesome. I'll look into it if I'm doing analytical or like modeling, simulation modeling. Also for sorry, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, the fat tail distributions. Was that when you're talking about fat tail distributions? Are you saying something that's more like a regular distribution, normal distribution, but shallower, or like an actual where like the tail end is just wide, like a regular normal distribution, but the tail, I guess that small end is just gets really wide. I guess the technical term is that I learned in class was heteroscedasticity. But like, yeah, is it just a wide normal distribution, a really wide normal distribution, or is it actually something that I guess gets really shallow at the tail end?
I think it's just it's not a normal distribution. It's basically maybe probably a Poisson distribution with n equals like it's like a low number, and so you have a really long tail. A good example of like long tail distribution would be books that Amazon sells. Like Amazon, the reason Amazon book business took off was because they started selling like tail end, like books that maybe only few people might buy, books that bookstores wouldn't, like they kind of benchmark on that. It's like it's kind of that kind of tail end. But when you say fat tail distribution, what basically we're saying is that even though the probability of like something happening or the distribution of it is really low, the amount of impact that can create in a system could be like extremely high. And these are like those low probability, high impact events. Like an asteroid colliding with Earth is like a great example. Like the probability is extremely slim, but if it hits us, like the probability of like destruction, the chances of like an existential threat, like its ability to like destroy all Earth life on Earth, is like pretty darn high. So that's a characteristic of complex systems. Like they kind of very small changes have like the ability to leverage like greater impact. So a bit of statistics mixed with like just impact and probability.
Okay. So yeah, it's not that it's more that a certain set of events are more likely than in a regular distribution, or more. It's that the rare events have a huge impact on the overall simulation.
Yeah.
They're more often. Yeah.
And it's the same as like, you know, we hear these things a lot, like the, I don't know, 80 to 70-30 rule, like the 30% does work for the 70%, or we look at stock markets crashing, and it's usually like a very small change in when some speculative stock like fluctuates a little bit, suddenly the whole market kind of crashes, and it's like at those peak levels of small fluctuations, like some of them just like kind of topple the whole thing. And people NetLogo was actually initially used for social sciences and economics. The Scientific Institute does research in complex studies, and it was actually founded by economists. Even though now they study a lot of physics and other stuff, but agent-based modeling was initially, and it's still taught, I think, predominantly in economics. But it's the new field is like complex adaptive systems, and it's more towards like natural systems.
Any other questions from other people?
It's from Robot. Hey, X.
Oh, also the announcement, I guess we're going off of, as X wrote in the chat, we're going off of live streams. So you have anything that's, well, ask any you want to get real,
Yeah, I
I
want to
guess
finish
we're
out the live stream with a presentation on donating to Noisebridge.
Oh, good idea.
Is X on here? Can you make sure that my live stream or my screen share is in the big position? Pretty please, for the YouTube stream. Okay, so you've been watching 5 MOF from Noisebridge. And I want to thank you very much for checking out Noisebridge. We are a 100% donation-based run organization, and we love having extra people. And if you go to this website, noisebridge.net, you can click on this shiny red button right here that says make a monthly donation. Fill all this stuff out, hit the donate button, and you will receive many piles of joy, happiness, and full access to all of us. Have a great day. Cheers.
Was that the end of the event? Are there more questions and discussion?
No.
This is the end of the recorded event. So we're going off air.